the hazard, to
Okay.
enlighten them of the hazard of being a drug addict and looking for a way to withdraw them from the addiction.
Okay. But how about the help? How do you intend to now help them? You know, since they can no longer access help through the traditional means, what's your angle? Like how are you going to go about it? What ideas do you think about?
In my understanding, I think we need access. They will need to access healthcare by if there are availability of psychiatric doctors that are ready to take them.
Okay, so I actually happen to know people personally who struggle with drug addiction. You know what their major problem is in accessing, or at least from my own, the conversations that I have with them, in accessing healthcare. What they tell me is that they don't want a situation where, they go to get psychiatric help and then everybody knows that they have a psychiatric problem.
Mm.
You know, so for them, it's more of a problem of data security. You know, they don't want a situation where they will go to the hospital to get psychiatric care, and then all the nurses who know them will now go around and start saying, this person's child, is a drug addict. And then the news will get out into the public and they will become tagged with that. They will become tagged, with that stigma of being a drug addict or having gone to a psychiatric hospital. So it looks like a problem of data protection. At least that's one angle. Funnily enough, not long ago on Twitter, a healthcare professional, a doctor, had an altercation with another guy. And the guy that he had an altercation with told him that basically they were just, banter, Twitter banter. So the guy told the doctor that, okay, the doctor said something, something around faith healing, that they believe in miracle healing and whatnot, right? So the other person was like, how can you be a doctor and believe in miracle healing? That's, kind of suggested that the guy is a bad doctor for believing in miracle healing. And how the doctor responded was, when you needed help for me to get emergency care for your relative, I was not a bad doctor. So basically, he was responding to the attack. And then he alleged to have provided emergency care for the relative of the person that attacked them. Of course, in healthcare, that would be considered bad practice. But you can imagine what somebody who is going through, a psychiatric problem, seeing that happening online and imagining it happening to them. So it's possible if they go to a doctor or a psychiatrist, tomorrow the whole of Twitter is going to know that they have gone to psychiatrist because their own doctor came online to talk about it. Do you understand? So I'm just looking at the data protection angle of the whole thing. Do you understand? And why you may also want to think about it and think about how you can go around mitigating it. Do you know? When I was talking to the person I told you about, they said that if it were possible for them to go to the psychiatric hospital without anybody knowing who they are, because they happen to be popular and they happen to be coming from a reputable family. So they were saying that if it were possible for them to go to the hospital without anybody knowing who they are, that they would have done it. But they fear that if they go to the hospital and people are able to recognize them, you know, their parents' political, how do I put it now, future will be in jeopardy. Their parents' reputation will be in jeopardy because of the stigma that is attached to substance abuse. So that's something to consider, you know, data protection. Well, I think it's a real problem. As a designer, you have to think about how to solve problems like this, and in order to solve it, you have to understand what it means for the people that are going through it. And apart from that, but as a product designer, you also have to think about the market. You know, sometimes there is a gap in the market, but the question is there a market in the gap? You know, something to consider as well. All right, good morning, guys. Welcome to today's class. So I promised that I'm going to, I promised that I'm going to take you through a case study of a real problem and a real solution that we came up with at Wella Health. That is going to be the first half of our conversation today. And then the second half of our conversation, I wanted to go through motion design, but then you know what? I decided that we should go through some of the new features that came up on Figma, because last week there was a Figma, you know, conference where they launch new products every year, right? So last week was such an event, and some new features were launched on Figma that is supposed to make life a lot easier for designers. For some of you who are struggling with auto layout, there is very good news. There is very good news. Still, I would like you to learn how to do auto layout traditionally, manually, but we are going to go through the improvements that have been made on Figma. The reason why it's important that you still learn how to do it manually is because the automation part may not always work. And even if it does, it may need some editing and, you know, fixing up here and there. And if you don't understand the rudiments of auto layout, you may not understand how to fix the problems your own auto layout has when it happens. So we're going to go through all that. So first let's do the case study. And this case study that I'm going to show you is kind of how I want your own case study to be by the time you submit it, is how I want your own case study to be. The details in there, the steps we took, is how you should also take your own steps. Although this case study is for a feature, remember that when we talked about what a product is not necessarily a brand new app or a brand new, you know, not necessarily a brand new product or a brand new app. it can also be a feature within a product. So this case study is a case study about a feature within a product, which also, qualifies as a product. So let's go through it. Let me open I think is on my other Figma account. So I'm going to share my screen. So mind you, if you have any questions at any point within the presentation, I would like you to ask so that we can deal with the questions immediately as they come. So if you have any questions at any point, just stop me, because I would actually like us to I'd like us to follow through with this, like to understand it step by step. So I don't want anything to be left as I don't want to assume, that you've understood. I want to know that you've understood. So if you have any questions, always stop me and ask. All right, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So this case study is on a feature that we ended up naming the pickup code. So the problem that prompted this design was that pharmacy, because we work with pharmacies, right? And how we partner with pharmacies is that on one side, we have customers who are people that are enrolled to. Sorry, can everyone still hear me? Because it's telling you that my internet is unstable. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
All right.
Yes, so, can you hear you?
All right. So they have enrollees, like people who are enrolled into their health into their insurance, right? Health insurance. So what happens is that when these people need to claim their health insurance, it means that maybe someone got sick and the person now maybe needs to go to the hospital, and then the health insurance company has to cover the person's hospital bills. Yes. And then after the person has gone to the hospital and the doctor prescribes drugs for them, the health insurance company has to, foot the bill for their drugs or even deliver the drugs to them. So what we do, one of our products is a product that helps health maintenance organizations or health insurance companies deliver the drugs to the customers. So what that means is that we partner with thousands of pharmacies across Nigeria, so that at every corner in Nigeria, there is a pharmacy that is partnering with Wella Health, so that if a person around that area, needs drugs, we contact that pharmacy that is close to them and the drug is delivered to them, or they can come to the pharmacy and pick up the drug themselves. So a small problem is that Wella Health has to know that drug has been dispensed to that enrollee so that Wella Health pays the pharmacy. And unfortunately, that is not always as smooth as it's, as it sounds, right? So we just find that ourselves in a situation where the pharmacies have delivered the drug, but we don't know whether or not they delivered the drug. So what we would normally do is we call them to confirm if they delivered the drug. You can see that all that calling is not scalable because you have to have someone always on the phone, calling pharmacy. Pharmacies can be busy and all of that. Eventually that leads to some pharmacies not getting paid on time. And if they don't get paid on time, they are like, oh, we dispensed this drug and Wella Health is not paying us. We cannot balance our sheets. Every time whenever a Wella Health person comes here, we will start having accounting issues. Therefore, some pharmacies will now say, you know what, I'm not doing again. We don't want Wella Health, customers or Wella Health people carry your wahala and go. So that becomes a problem for Wella Health, a problem for our HMO partners, a problem for the enrollees. So you can see the problem. So that's the problem. This is the executive summary you can read on the screen. I don't want to really go deep into everything because we still go through it again. So the executive summary is for people who just need to read the too long didn't read part of this, but you guys are going to do the long part, so no need for executive summary, right? I've introduced the idea, right? Introduction. I think I've pretty much introduced part of what we do as Wella Health. So in order for us to work with our pharmacy partners, we have an app called the Pharmacy Partner app. What happens in that app essentially is that we have, as I said, partnered with thousands of pharmacies across Nigeria. So they are residents inside our app. So what happens is that whenever someone needs drugs, we find out the location of that person. We find pharmacies that are around that area, and then we send messages to them and tell them that we need so drug. Do they have it available and at what price, right? We negotiate pricing with them. And all of this happens inside the app, right? So when we get a pharmacy who is interested and their price is good, we now, send the enrollee to that pharmacy to go and pick up the drug. That's essentially how it happens. On the other side of this service is the HMOs, right? That's the health maintenance organizations, right? The health maintenance organizations do not reside inside the Pharmacy Partner app. The health maintenance organizations reside in a different app called the WeFeel app. So the WeFeel is a sub-brand of Wella Health, What it does is fulfillment for HMOs. So that is where the HMOs can come in and say they want so drug for so person, and Wella Health takes that order, right? And then gives them a timeline for delivery of that order. So you can see that on one end, Wella Health has a refill business that takes orders from HMOs, and then a pharmacy partner app, business that helps pharmacies sell their drugs. And then it kind of works with these two in order to kind of make things work. So that's the scenario. So the pain point here is that some of our I've talked about it again, but I'll repeat. Some of our pharmacy partners, have a problem with the fact that they are not getting their, payments on time, and it hinders their cash flow. Where it hinders their accounting. Generally, it's bad business, right? Because these delays is going to discourage them from even wanting to have anything to do with Wella Health, right? Because Nigeria is a very low trust environment. So at some point they will even call you and say, "Why have I not gotten my money?" When it takes days, for them, and they will not understand that we have a problem of even confirmation that whether they've made the dispensing or not. Their own is that they dispense drug and they've not gotten their money. Right. So this is basically what the flow, for this service looks like. So the enrollee, like when the enrollee gets sick and then the doctors prescribe the drug for them, how it happens from the enrollee side is that they get an SMS that will say, "Hi, Chinedu, you go and pick up your drug at so pharmacy," right? And that pharmacy is typically one that is very close to them, right? So the enrollee just goes there with their ID, with their photo ID, and says, "I'm Chinedu, I want to come and pick up my drug." And then the pharmacist says, "Okay, yeah, we have a drug for Chinedu," and then the pharmacists, of course, before that, the pharmacists had already gotten their own message, and negotiated on prices, right? So the pharmacist will now give that drug to Chinedu, and then Chinedu will carry the drug and go. Now, this seems like normal. Okay, how it's supposed to happen is that, the pharmacist is going to get paid when this is done. But then the problem is that the pharmacy doesn't get paid because this transaction happened and Wella Health doesn't know about it, right? So Wella Health knows that they sent somebody to go to a pharmacy, but Wella Health doesn't know whether the person has gotten to the pharmacy, whether the pharmacy has given the drug to the person, right? Real problem. So if we are able to solve this problem, what is going to happen is that one is going to improve pharmacy network participation. So more pharmacies are going to be like, this Wella Health, they are paying on time and we want to partner with them so that we can increase our own sales as well, right? So, and then it's going to reduce partner turnover, meaning that, fewer pharmacies are going to be like, we don't want to work with Wella Health because they don't pay on time. It's also going to enhance operational efficiency on this part of the customers and on our own part, because what happens is that when these payments are not made on time, it comes at the end of the month when a lot of accounting has been piled up on top, and then everybody from Wella Health versus people from the pharmacy are going to be going through each and every transaction to find out which particular transaction leakage is coming from. Do you get? Don't forget that it's also sometimes it's possible that some pharmacies can claim that they delivered and they did not deliver. That is that possibility, So that process of reconciliation is man hours because it's people that have to sit down, go through tons of, files and receipts to find where the leakage is coming from. So that's a lot of inefficiency. So if we solve this problem, we eliminate that inefficiency. Then is going to also strengthen partnership between us and the pharmacies, because then everybody understands that, you know, everyone is doing their part and everyone is getting their due, you know. And it's also going to enhance the patient experience because more pharmacies are going to be involved. Patients can go to any pharmacy and get whatever drug they have because the pharmacies are going to do business with us. Yeah. Of course, it's going to give us a competitive advantage if we are able to always deliver on, you know, drugs, because, you know, we are just more efficient, you know. Yeah, so that's why the problem is important. So the teams that work on this are the pharmacy operations team. Pharmacy operations team are typically made up of, the pharmacy operations team at Wella Health are typically made up of pharmacists who work with pharmacies, right? Who now go up to work with pharmacies and educate them about our application and try to kind of get in more pharmacies. And then they kind of intermediate between Wella Health and the pharmacies. So they kind of know a lot about how community pharmacies work and basically how to improve the experience for them. Then the product management team as well, you know, also worked on it. I'm sorry I didn't add the engineering team. If they see this, they will kill me. So the product management team also worked on it. The product experience team, which is the team I'm in, also worked on it. And also the engineering team also worked on this product. So my role, again, this is how your presentation is supposed to look like. Your case study is supposed to look like. So my role here is that I was the lead researcher and I was the product and service designer for this product, right? So in researching, I led the user researching activities. I, you know, did the data synthesizing and data analysis and whatnot. And I also did the product and service design. You know, I organized sprints, you know, design sprints, you know, I developed, you know, facilitated brainstorming sessions, you know, evaluated and refined solution ideas, and collaborated on the flow redesign and considered all the stakeholder impact. Yeah. I was also, you know, in charge of the communication and the documentation, bringing all the teams and stakeholders together, making everyone understand what's at stake, making everyone understand where we're going, and all of that. Then I also documented the research and design process, which is why we have this today. So in the research, our goal was to understand how the system works, right? So the existing, you know, partner ecosystem, to understand every nook and cranny of that system. And methods we use the quantitative method because we needed to understand the baseline. You know, we surveyed partners to understand what their pain points are and to measure overall satisfaction. Mind you that yesterday when was it Peace was asking about Peace sent in her work, I told her that some of those KPIs, all of those KPIs have to be in numbers because she will have to eventually compare. So how is it today, which is one thing our quantitative research did. So our quantitative research, you know, found out the baseline of the net promoter score, found out the baseline of the customer satisfaction, you know, score, found out the baseline of, you know, the time taken, you know, to complete payments, to complete a cycle, you know, a service cycle, right? Found out the baseline for that. Why that is important is that after you've done your design, you would have to prove that your design actually improved things. Yeah. So, you know, has your design improved the net promoter score? Has your design improved the customer satisfaction and all of that? Then we also did a qualitative research. So the qualitative research we did, sorry, give me a second, please. So the qualitative research we did were interviews, right? We interviewed 10 partners, within our system to understand, the why behind the data that we're seeing, and to basically find out exactly what their process is like and where their pain points are. Basically, the whole thing interviews are supposed to do. Then in the process analysis, like we looked at the whole process as it is today, looked at where there could be holes, where we can improve, did a competitive audit, to find out what other companies are doing. It's actually difficult when you are Wella Health, because the problem Wella Health is solving, there aren't a lot of companies solving it. So it's hard to even do a kind of competitive audit. So what we did, do I talk about it later here? What we did is do competitive audit with industries that face similar problems, not necessarily industries that are inside healthcare, but industries that are facing similar challenges. And you can find them in different industries, whether it's banking, whether it's logistics and all of that. So we focused on the pain points, focused on the customer journey map, focused on stakeholders, understanding them. And of course, we wanted to calculate we had KPIs to calculate, for instance, the net promoter score, percentage of unreported fulfillment, percentage of payments, to our partner pharmacies. Right. So after doing all that research, we had to come up with a customer persona, a user persona, and we identified 2 personas, which actually go on to impact, how we, or the kind of design we went on to do. So one of the personas is Stella, right? She's a 28-year-old pharmacist. She's a community pharmacist, and her goals, professional goals, are to serve customers as quickly as possible. She's working in a pharmacy. So is to serve her customers as quickly as possible, to dispense her drugs accurately, not make mistakes, and then to have a balanced account, because the pharmacies, at the end of the day, they also have to balance their account. Then some of our frustrations are, there are few hands especially during rush hours. And then, the process of dispensing or confirming to Wella Health that they dispense is a bit tedious, because, they have to either call and confirm that this person has come to collect, or they have to go through the app, open the app, go through the app, and then, chat up somebody there to say that this person has collected, right? They are also frustrated about the delayed payment that is coming from Wella Health, because it frustrates their reconciliation process. Right. Now, this is a different kind of user persona. That's a pharmacist Okolie. Now, he's a 52-year-old man, and he's the owner of a pharmacy. Now, there is a difference between how the owners of the pharmacy view the process and how the people that are working in the pharmacy view the process. Their motivations are different as well. So for Okolie, it's not much about speed. It's about improving revenue at the pharmacy, because for him, it's the bottom line. So he wants to increase revenue in his pharmacy. And in order to do that, he kind of does need to work with Wella Health, because Wella Health does bring him a lot of customers, right? So the more customers Wella Health brings, the more his revenue is increased. Whereas for Stella, the more customers Wella Health brings, the more stress it is on her. Do you understand the difference, right? For Stella, more customers means stress. For Okolie, more customers means more money. Right. So other goals Pharmacologist has is improving service efficiency at rush hours, again, so that he can make more money and reduce stress on his staff. He also wants to get quick payments to improve his cash flow. Now, some of the frustrations, he's facing is that he doesn't want to hire more hands. So he doesn't want to hire, people that are just going to be dealing with Wella Health orders, right? Because that is expensive for him. He also is concerned about the slow fulfillment process for Wella Health orders, even though it is making him money. If it's slow, it becomes expensive as well. He's also concerned about the delayed payments and inefficient reconciliation process. So you can see these are two users with two different motivations, two different goals, and they view the world differently. Right. So this is basically what the customer journey is like in the big picture, and we try to capture as many stakeholders as we can. So the primary stakeholder here is the enrollee for this HMO who gets sick, right? So when this enrollee gets sick, the enrollee contacts their HMO, that's their health insurer, and then their HMO contacts their partner, who is Wella Health, right? So Wella Health, this happens in an app called WeFeel, as I've described before. So Wella Health, through their app that is called Wella Partner, contacts their partner pharmacies, who are the people that we want to solve the problem for, primarily. And after they've contacted these partner pharmacies, they have negotiations with them and discuss price and all of that. When that is done, they now contact the HMOs to let them know the price that they are going to sell, of course, after adding their own percentages and all of that. And then this happens either in SMS, WhatsApp, or email, right? Remember yesterday I was asking Peace, why she's not solving the problem with WhatsApp. Some problems are solved with WhatsApp, right? And emails and SMS, right? So Wella Health gives these HMOs, the details of what they need. And then this HMO shares the pharmacy details with the enrollee. So the details here we are talking about here are details like, which pharmacy they have to go to. They basically send them the pharmacy that they have to go to, and then inform them to carry their ID card. So the HMO share that, because we don't have the numbers of this enrollee direct. We don't have their numbers, right? Because HMOs are typically very jealous with data, so they are not going to share data of their customers, right? So that their customers are not stolen from them. So what happens is that we communicate with their own customers through them, right? So we send them a message, and then they send that message to their own customer. So the customer receives the message and then goes to the pharmacy that we ask them to go to, and then they pick up the drug, right? So this can happen in brick and mortar, meaning that the enrollee goes to the pharmacy, or it can also happen as delivery. It can be arranged. And then when this happens, what is supposed to happen is that the pharmacy is supposed to inform Wella Health that confirmation, to confirm that the pickup has been made. And then Wella Health is supposed to inform the HMO that the pickup has been made, and then pay the pharmacy, after this pickup has been made. That's how the process is supposed to go. Right, so a closer up journey map, the one that now concerns the pharmacy directly, looking at the world from their view, is that when they accept a fulfillment order, the task that they have to complete is that they have to respond to an order notification that they get on their pharmacy app, and then they have to chat with the customer service of Wella Health and share the details of drug availability and price and negotiate whatnot. And then they choose to accept the drug fulfillment or not accept it, right? So for Stella, that is a tasking, that is tasking, because Stella really doesn't care, if they don't have a single customer, because she's going to be paid the same amount every month. Whereas Okolie, who is the owner of the pharmacy, hopes that more and more, customers come, right? So here he is hopeful that Wella Health is going to, deliver and bring that customer. So what we have to, how we can improve here is to prepare, customer and offer tips on how to ease the task for Stella, right? Now, the next step for them is that the enrollee is received at the pharmacy, right? Because that's the next thing for them. After they've accepted an order, the next thing the next event for them is that the enrollee now comes to their pharmacy to pick up the drug. So what they have to do is that they have to ask the enrollee for the ID, because they are supposed to confirm that this enrollee is actually that enrollee. And then they are supposed to open the Wella Partner app to confirm that the enrollee matches the order before dispensing the drug. So when they do that, they would also have to let the Wella Health know that the drug has been dispensed. So sometimes, so when we studied this, when we are studying that process, we discovered that there is a loophole here. So the loophole is that sometimes, because maybe they've already crammed the name of the customer. Pharmacists have very good memory, right? They've already known the name of the customer. Oh, this customer is Femi, and we've already prepared Femi's drugs, right? So they just dispense the drug without going through the app and confirming that Femi has picked up the drug. Because again, they are in a rush, they're in a hurry. Oh, Femi comes and says, oh, I'm from Wella Health. Oh, so yeah, Femi, give Femi his drug, and then Femi will go. And then they will do that without confirming in the app that Femi has picked up, right? So this task of going through this process is typically tedious for everybody, including Okorie and Stella. And so what we need to do to improve this process is ease the identification process and encourage pharmacies to confirm the ID before dispensing. These are ideas, right? Opportunities, improvement opportunities. Not necessarily is what we did, but these are opportunities for what we can do to improve the process. Then after that, it's not, why are you guys not my board? Then after that, they are supposed to get payment for the fulfillment, right? So Wella Health is supposed to pay money into their wallet, and then they're supposed to now withdraw the money into their own bank account. But what happens in real life is that sometimes Wella Health does not pay. And the reason why Wella Health does not pay is because Wella Health cannot confirm or deny that they have dispensed the drug. So what happens when they get payment is that they are satisfied. What happens when they don't get payment is that they become uncertain, they become anxious, they become annoyed that they've dispensed and money has not come to them. If there are people that are working with Wella Health for the first time, they will start saying, have they been duped or something? If there are people that have been working with Wella Health for a long time, they'll be like, is Wella Health shutting down? Is Wella Health shutting down? And is that the reason why they're not paying us? Are we going to lose money? So uncertainty, anxiety, and they are just plain annoyed with the whole thing. So what we can do, opportunities for improvement here is that we can acknowledge the feeling and congratulate the user that they've completed the process. Then we can explain the situation and how we can rectify, explain the situation of why they are not being paid and how to rectify that situation. And then we can also make our payment faster. Right. Then after that, the next point for them is them balancing their books, right? So if everything goes well, they can balance their cash and sales is made and everyone is happy. It doesn't go well, it means that Wella Health does not pay, so they now have to go through that long process of reconciliation that wastes everybody's time, including Wella Health and the pharmacies alike. If it goes well, the feeling is satisfaction. If it doesn't go well, everyone is frustrated, everyone is duty bound to do it. So how we can improve this process is by acknowledging the feeling and easing the process. and then explaining again how to rectify the situation and improving, the speed of payment. This is the closer up journey map. So now to the definition of the problem, right? So after we've done interviews and studied our journey maps and all of that, we are not able to pinpoint a particular problem that we feel that when we solve it, it is at the root of all the other problems, right? If we solve that problem, all the other problems will simply just go away. So the problem is that partner pharmacies are experiencing confusion and anxiety due to lack of timely funding for dispensed medication. The root cause is that there is a broken communication loop between the partner pharmacies and the Wella Health team. So that is causing partner frustration, and the Wella Health's blind spot is that the team lacks a reliable system to verify dispensed medications, and this hinders their ability to promptly fund partner pharmacies. So the reason for pharmacies not confirming as they should is that they have a lot of workload. So they prioritize that their workload over going through, because mind you, Wella Health is just 1 or 2 customers or 3 customers, or if the pharmacy is there, maybe 10 customers a day. Whereas this is a pharmacy that sees hundreds of customers maybe every day. So, from our own point, that's a big thing that we are sending them customers, 10 customers, because we have thousands of other pharmacies that we're sending 10 customers. So it's a big thing for us. But from their own end, it's just 10 customers. Why would they have to stop servicing hundreds of other people that are coming just because 10 customers have come? Do you get what I'm saying? So, so that's trying to find additional time to focus on Wella Health's problems, is the reason why a lot of times we are having that issue. Now, our hypothesis statement is that if we can ease the dispensing confirmation process, then pharmacists can confirm dispensing. So we now had to ideate around that, because we feel that when we tackle that confirmation process, every other thing will just stack in line, right? So after a collaborative effort with the product management team, with the pharmacy operations team, with the design team, and with the engineering team, we had a lot of different ideas, plenty ideas, as ideation is supposed to produce. But then we narrowed those ideas into a couple of ideas. So some of those ideas are supposed to improve efficiency. One of the ideas we had is a pickup code with confirmation. Another of ideas is a ledger balance feature. So ledger balance is supposed to be like you have money in your account, but that money you cannot withdraw because that money has not been confirmed, right? So that's supposed to help improve efficiency. Then we can enhance communication. We can, for instance, educate pharmacies on the need for them to go through that painful process of confirmation so that they will get their payment on time, right? That is a way around it as well. Let me see if we actually dealt with it one-on-one. All right, we did. Or we can notify pharmacists, maybe send them notifications all the time to ask them to confirm, confirm. We can also try, different or alternative confirmation methods, like calling the pharmacies or calling the enrollees or calling the HMOs to find out if, drugs have been dispensed. The other things we need to consider is that we can also combine a couple of these ideas to develop, like combining ideas basically. And then of course we have to track our KPIs. We have to gather, feedback from pharmacies to understand what their preferred confirmation method is. This boy has come to this topic. I'm in a meeting, okay? Yeah, I'm in a meeting. Yeah, can you go? Just okay. Just go and go to your sister. Okay. I'm in a meeting.
No, they're washing the clothes.
Okay, just go with them. Help them out. Go and help them out. Okay. I'll meet you later. I'm in a meeting. I'm having a meeting. Okay. All right. You can stay then. Right. So another thing we can. Okay. So to the education, we considered. Please, can you help me close the door? Close the door. Okay. So with the education, we considered developing and delivering clear training for the pharmacists on the importance and benefits of the confirmation process, as I said. So the pros of this would be that, we are educating the users on our product, and then we're also connecting with our users. But the cons of it is that it's expensive to execute and it's not scalable, because having one person be calling one or all the 2,000 pharmacies we have is just not a scalable idea. Now we still 2,000 pharmacies. What if we want to now expand to all of Africa? Are we going to still have people calling, to confirm something as simple as confirmation of, delivery? It's just not scalable, right? Another thing another idea was notification to pharmacists. So we considered sending notification to pharmacists, or of course, this one would have been cheap and scalable. And of course, the gamification of getting notification might also even help, pharmacists actually go into the app and check maybe on their free time. But the cons is that it does not solve the problem that pharmacists are too busy. Sometimes, even with all the notification, pharmacists are still too busy to go through the process. Another thing we thought about was to call the pharmacies or enrollees directly to confirm, but again, it's not efficient, it's not scalable, and the confirmation might take time. And then if, for instance, people that work in shifts, right? If maybe one person was the person that delivered the drug, and then you're calling when that person is no longer in shift, the person cannot confirm, will not be in the best position to confirm if that's if the drug has been dispensed. And also, of course, it will become cumbersome, because when you think of we are, in fact, HMOs are not going to release their numbers of their enrollees to us, so that's not is not a process that is going to work. Then we consider the ledger balance feature. So the ledger balance feature, as I said, means that we create a wallet where they can see that money is in the wallet, but they will be unable to withdraw it because we have not confirmed. But they can see that we have acknowledged, that this order exists. But then when they try to withdraw it, we now tell them, oh, you have to confirm that you've actually delivered this before we can, release the money. Right. So the pros is that it might help to reduce their anxiety, and is also cheap, and is a cheap and scalable, solution. The cons is that it still doesn't address the issue of balancing accounts, because if at the end of the day they don't balance their accounts early, we are still going to go through that process of balancing accounts, and it's tedious for everyone. And it does not address the need to confirm that dispensing, because the pickup code feature that we considered, so we considered giving a unique pickup code to HMOs to share with their enrollees. So these codes will be the only way the pharmacies are going to identify the customers. Now, remember when I said that one of the loopholes in the user journey was that a pharmacy can see somebody and the person says, oh, I'm from Wella Health. And if, for instance, they say, I'm John from Wella Health, and then they remember that they packed the drug for John, they're also going to pick up the drug and give to John without going through the process, right? So that is the process that we try to fix by saying, you know what, your customer is no longer John. The name of your customer is 1234, right? So that code is going to be the only way for them to identify this customer. So they cannot tell which customer is which until they ask that customer to give them a code. They input that code into the system, and then the system says, boom, this is the customer, this is their ID, confirm the ID, and give the drug. So that it's generally impossible for them to give away the drug without confirming that the customer is actually this person. So the pros is that the confirmation is automatic. So whenever they now key in that, so they don't need to go through an extra process of confirming that they've dispensed the drug. All they need to do is that when they key in that code, on our own end, we already know somebody has accessed this code, so this drug has been dispensed, right? So they don't need to now go through the extra layer of telling us that this person has come to claim their drugs because that code has been entered. And the only way they could have accessed that code is if they really actually came to pick their drug. Do you understand the idea? So this confirmation is automatic, so they don't need to go through an extra confirmation process. And it resolves the problem of a busy pharmacist, as we're going to see later. The cons is that it involves more than one stakeholder, because now we are going to involve the HMOs to, give the code to their users, and then, involve their users now giving the code to. Basically, there is so many moving parts to it, but that's the downside of it. So the decision we took is to, the decision we finally took is to combine a couple of ideas. So we combined the pickup code feature with the ledger balance feature to get the best of the two worlds. And I will explain why we did that later. And we also decided to include some other elements from the other ideas, like the notification. So if the first two fail, they will now get notification and all of that. So these are the things we considered when we were making our designs, right? First, we had to maintain that user familiarity, because we don't want a user to go back to learning how to use a new app. Do you understand? So we wanted to maintain that familiarity. And then we took note of the stakeholder impacts. How is this going to impact the flow? Like if we change the flow too much, it will impact, because our stakeholders, the HMOs, they've already learned a process of how to deal with us. And if we change that process too much, it becomes an issue, because now they have to also train their staff on the different process and all of that. So we didn't want, to change a lot about how we deal with them. Do you understand? We didn't want to change the process that we deal with our stakeholders too much. So we have to think about how our design is going to impact our stakeholders, so that our stakeholders are not learning new things every day, right? That's bad for business. And then we have to think about synchronized updates. So whatever we are doing in the Weller Partner app will also affect the Wayfair app. And generally, any changes will affect everything. So we need to consider, so that we don't make changes that are too much, that we now have to rebuild any app from the ground up again. Because that would be expensive. That would mean people learning new things and all of that, which is not good business. So the original design, as you know, we've talked about it before. Really comes, shows their ID, and then pharmacy gives them their ID and give them their drug and whatnot, right? So this is what the original design looked like. This was the original screen. You can see that it has like pending claims. This is a pharmacy app, by the way. It has the name of the pharmacy, it has pending claims and the fulfillment and all of that. So when they make fulfillment, they go to when they click on fulfillment, they see all the fulfillment offers that they have, and then we negotiate with them and all of that. This is what the wallet looks like. When they go into their wallet, they will see that the wallet, the money they have there is like 300K, and then they can choose to withdraw and not withdraw or whatnot. That's the original design. Now, the proposed storyboard of the new design is that Iwoli receives a message, and the message is going to contain a pickup code, asking them to go and pick up their drug and present the pickup code to the pharmacy. So when the enrollee presents the pickup code to the pharmacist, the pharmacist will now see the pickup code, and then he will have to confirm who this patient is or who this customer is based on key in that pickup code into their system, into their phone, to now see who the patient is and the order that the patient was supposed to receive. Then the pharmacist checks the code and goes on the app and uses the code to access the customer's dispensing information. And that is when they can now dispense. And when they do that, when they are accessing the customer's dispensing information, Wella Health automatically knows that somebody has accessed this information. Then Wella Health can dispense the drug to them. So sometimes there are things called edge cases, right? You can design one thing and then customers will do another thing. So we thought of what edge case could be. So one of those edge cases is here. That imagine that it's only one Wella Health customer that comes there that day. Of course, these are things that you can only imagine when you've done a thorough job on the user journey. You do a thorough job on the user journey, you can predict things before they happen. So imagine that you only had one Wella Health customer that day. Now, if that customer now comes to pick up the drug and they only have one drug that they've prepared for a Wella Health customer. So if that customer now comes to pick up the drug, that conversation, oh, you're a Wella Health customer, oh, take the Wella Health customer drug, right? So there are not two. If you are, let's say, two people, they'll be like, okay, which one is your own? Now let me go to the app and see which one is your own. What's your pickup code, right? But if it's only one order, it's only one order. And then that's an edge case because now the pharmacist doesn't have to go through the app to find that. They'll just give it. And then again, the problem again, Wella Health will not know that this thing has happened. And of course, this happens a lot of times because there are pharmacies that are smaller pharmacies, that sometimes they only get one Wella Health order in a day, right? Then there are bigger pharmacies, generally things happen. So we designed for that edge case. So in an edge case where the pharmacist doesn't check the code, the pharmacy doesn't follow the protocol, what we now do is that we now use that ledger payment system. So the ledger payment is made, but they cannot withdraw it. And when they go through that process of withdrawing, they will now see that, oh, you cannot withdraw unless you confirm. But you have this money, but you cannot withdraw it unless you confirm that you delivered this drug to this customer. If that one fails, we will now send notifications, because we know when we expect the drug to be picked up. Like if, say, a drug is supposed to be picked up today, and we don't get feedback after the whole of the day that the drug has been picked up. Tomorrow morning, I will now send them notification and say how far, have you delivered the drug? And then they can now use that notification to confirm whether the drug has been delivered or not. And then when they do, we now clear their ledger balance, and everybody can withdraw their funds. You need something? You need anything? Okay. So wireframing, right? Wireframing. So in thinking about how this pickup code is going to work, we thought about a couple of different things. We talked about using a QR code. Right. So the reason we thought about using the QR code is that it will be easier for the pharmacies, right? So all they have to do is that when they, get the code, they just scan it with their phone, and then the code will now take them to the customer, and then they see everything. So as they're scanning the code, Wella Health also knows that this code has been accessed, and then they can also access the customer information. Can anyone tell me why we didn't choose that method? If you've been listening. Are you guys still there?
I think so.
Are you guys there?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me why we didn't choose this method? Any idea why we didn't pick it? I mean, it seems very easy. QR code. So a customer brings their QR code, we scan it, or the customer brings their QR code to the pharmacy scan it, and automatically, the QR code gives them all the information, and then based on that, we also know from Wella Health side that this information has been accessed. We didn't go through this method. Why?
If the customer doesn't have a smartphone,
Thank you.
will it
So in designing something, you have to think of all your customers, not just the rich ones. You have to think of all your customers. You have to design for people that have a smartphone, people that don't have a smartphone. Then, people that don't have a smartphone, there is no way they can get a QR code, right? Because QR codes don't show, is a picture, and some phones don't use pictures. People that have Nokia 3310 will no longer be able to access this product because, HMOs cannot force all their customers to have smartphones. Do you understand? So, if a customer doesn't have smartphone, what then, right? So, because of this, we decided that we cannot use this because not all customers have smartphones. So we have to use a solution that is accessible to 100%, of our customers, right? So we decided that we can trade off a little more convenience so that all the service is going to be available and accessible to all of the enrollees, right? So that is why we now use a normal code, like new digital numeric code. Now, the ledger balance feature is essentially, okay, I've described it already, money that comes into the pharmacy's account, but the pharmacy is unable to withdraw. So what we now did is that we now added like okay, by the way, can you guys see how ugly my drawings are?
Yes, sir.
You can see how ugly it is. And so I'm not expecting Picasso. I'm just expecting you to draw something that somebody can look at and understand what is going on there. Like, you don't exactly require a Picasso, okay? So again, don't be ashamed of your drawing skills. It's not a art competition, right? But they cannot withdraw it until the thing has been confirmed. Right. So in prototyping the SMS, right? Again, things came up, right? So in the first draft, I'm trying to show you how crazy, or not crazy now, but how detailed, things like this can get. Right. So in the first draft of the SMS that we sent them, look at the first draft we sent. So the first draft we said, hello, the name of the customer. That's the customer's enrollee number, right? That's the pickup the enrollee number, because like customers have like people that are enrolled into HMOs have like an enrollee number. So that's the customer and that's their enrollee number, right? Then we say, kindly pick up your medication at this pharmacy in Lagos. Then show them this pickup code. So this is the pickup code that we'll send to them. The pickup code helps us verify your order and ensures you receive the correct medications. Please leave us a review here because we actually need that review, mind you, because we are tracking an NPS score. And then this is basically Wella Health in combination with Reliance HMO. So when we tested this, people that don't have smartphones, this is how it appears on their phone. They get 3 messages because, mind you, this messages in Nigeria, I think, have a limit of 60. SMSs have a limit of 60 characters, right? So this is how it appears. So the first SMS comes as "Hello, Catherine, blah 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 blah. Kindly pick up your da 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 da," and ends here. Then the second one, then the code is now the code, right? And then the third one is the review, review this thing experience. What happens is that when they get this first one, they know the pharmacy to go to. But when you get 3 messages in a row, you check the first one, right? So the first one that they check is this one, and then they know they have to go to a pharmacy. They don't even know that they received the second SMS. So what happens is that when they get to that pharmacy, everybody is confused because a pharmacy is expecting pickup code. This person didn't even know that they received the pickup code, and everybody is just there looking at each other, right? So we have to fix that problem. So that fixing that problem is in changing the copy of the message that we sent to them. So now the message now says, "Hi, Catherine." We decided that sending them, if they are Catherine, they are Catherine, right? And sending them their enrollee number again is not necessary. Again, it sounds, people may not even know their enrollee number to even start with, but they know that their name is Catherine, right? And name without surname, right? To make it shorter. Your medication is ready for pickup. And then we make sure that that pickup code came in early so that they know right from the first message that there is a concept of pickup code and the place that the pharmacy that they're supposed to go to receive their drug, right? And then now the second message is now, telling them ensure your pickup code that HMO is confirmed, But the first message that is passed, just go there and present your pickup code. That is the first message I wanted to send to them. Now, these other ones are also important, but not as important as them knowing that there is a pickup code that they need to go to, and the pharmacy that the pickup code that they need to use, and the pharmacy that they need to go to. Right. So, does this play?
The pharmacist receives.
You guys can hear it, right?
So the enrollee presents their pickup code, and then the pharmacist.
So now we have a search bar here where the enrollee can, present the pickup code.
Search bar. So when the pharmacist does key it in.
So when they put in that pickup code, this notification comes and now tells them the ID and the name of the customer, with all of the information that they need, and then they can now say this person has picked up, this person has not picked up, and it happens at once.
The ID matches,
right?
And then to confirm if the user has picked up. So when this happens,
they now get a thank you, pharmacist. It's always a pleasure to work with you, blah blah. So the process is straightforward, right? Of course, like generally, we made more iterations. Like in the process of doing that, we had to change up the colors a bit, change up the user experience a bit, jazz up the app a little bit. So it went from this one that is looking a bit pale to this one that is looking sharper and, has more features. We added feature of like how many fulfillments that they've done, the claims, and some like giving them something like a dashboard so they can now see their wallet, they can now see how much they have. We even added a gamification that tells them their rating, their pharmacy rating. So the pharmacy rating is typically based on how well the customer experience that we get from their pharmacy is. And, they kind of try to now improve on their game. Instead of being 4.4, they want to be 5 and all of that. And we kind of had that rating. So every week we also do this thing that we, come and hail our, best pharmacy of the week and all of that. But that's a different story. So this was the first iteration. This was the second iteration that looks a little more jazzed up, and all of that. Now, in prototyping the wallet, okay, this
pending balance feature.
So we had a pending balance feature. And the pending balance is going to tell them, okay, you have a total balance of like 300K. We have a pending balance of 30K. And when they click in,
when you click this feature, you click here.
So that pending balance comes up, and then they see all the transactions that makes up that pending balance. And then they can even click on this information here.
All the balances that are pending.
And see all the balances that are pending. And then when they click, they will now see exactly the definition of pending balance and all of that. So that is how that pending balance feature is designed. So this is what the wallet looked like at first. The first design that we made, the first improvement that we made on it, adding that pending balance feature and all of that. Then later, we now had other, because we realized in our research, we realized that this wallet feature is the most used feature on this app. And when you have a product, maybe you want to find another way to make money. Maybe you want to find another way to make money, so we decided that we're now going to be adding in-application ads. Of course, the in-application ads that we are going to be adding, or we added, are not random ads of Ajinomoto and all of that. We added ads of that are specific to pharmacies, and pharmacies can actually get good benefit from. So for this ad now, for instance, they can get a discount of, from 29,500 to 23,600, that basically ads that actually, concern them. And then for this part, we changed the UI to look like a card, like, an actual, debit or credit card. And the reason we did that is more like a foreshadowing of our plan to release actual, physical cards in the future. And then it has that pending balance feature and all of that. So the same thing, just changing the UI a bit. So what are the results? Again, using KPIs, we found out that we achieved about 60% improvement on our net promoter score. And then, we saw a 50% reduction in unrecorded pickup. So the other 50%, the other places that are still not doing it are places where those edge cases exist, smaller pharmacies where, for instance, only one, Wella Health order comes in a day. So we still have a little problem, left to solve in those areas, problem not the finish. So the lessons we learned, from, or I learned in doing all of this is that, we have to kind of regularly communicate with all our stakeholders, right? Regularly communicate with our pharmacies, our HMOs, to help us solve problems and foster collaboration. We also have to leverage on expertise that is within our team. So we leverage on the expertise of the pharmacy operations people. We leverage on the expertise of even the customer care, because they are the ones that told us that this SMS thing, that when they send it, that it confuses, pharmacies when they get there, and they find that, the user didn't even realize that they had a code. They only saw it on their second SMS. So we leverage on expertise and, of course, cross industry insights. So that is the idea of the pickup code came in from a code that is normally sent when you get a package from God is Good Motors. Everyone knows God is Good Motors, right? So God is Good Motors does this thing. When you get a delivery from them, they send you a code to pick up. Of course, we changed some of the service implications of that, but the general concept, was from what some of the companies in the logistics industry are already doing, and it's working for them. Then we also thought about simplicity and accessibility. So when we discuss with our stakeholders on the idea of the QR code, some of them say that, not all of their customers have smartphones. In fact, the contact phones that they have with some of their customers are even the ones that are rich, the contact phones that they have of them are their second phones, which is their non-smartphones. So for those customers, it wouldn't be a good experience, because they wouldn't be able to receive the QR code. Of course, not all of them are on WhatsApp, so not all of them can access QR codes, right? So we have to make our designs simple as possible and as accessible as possible. And then we have to adopt suitable technology, So in this case, using SMS instead of WhatsApp or email. SMS is more accessible and is more suitable, and even more suitable than, say, QR codes, right? So that's the presentation. That's the case study presentation. So any questions? Any comments? Am I speaking to myself?
Hello. Good morning.
Into yourself.
Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. Sorry, please, Brian. I wanted to understand, like, the whole user journey again, because I'm yet to understand the effect of that code. So, like, just a quick one, just to run me through, like, the journey, the user journey from the process where the user makes an order for the drug.
Okay. So it's not that the user makes an order for the drug. Is that the user is like you are not here from the beginning. Is that the user is an enrollee into an HMO. By the way, does everyone here have a health insurance? Who doesn't have a health insurance, or who has a health insurance?
I don't have one.
Have
A health insurance.
I don't have one.
All right, okay.
So
Yeah, so it's important. Now you guys have health insurance. You know what health insurance does for you is that it reduces risk. There are very cheap, dead cheap health insurance that Wella Health sells. In fact, Wella health insurance is targeted at people with very low income. And it covers the most common diseases: malaria, typhoid, allergies, cold, and catarrh. Those common diseases that people, and emergency care. So God forbid you get an accident, covers that as well. Now, the reason why that is important is, let's even say you have money. Sometimes you can, God forbid, something happens to you, and you cannot access your account at that time. And then you go to a hospital, and then the hospital says, oh, you have to pay before service. But you cannot access your account and you don't have cash. So what happens then? Right? You have all the money in the world. And this is not like I'm saying something like in theory. This happens every day in Nigeria. So you have all the money in the world, and then you cannot get healthcare, and then you just simply die over something that even 20,000 would have gotten you out of, or 10,000 would have gotten you out of. But because you couldn't access your account at that time, you couldn't access money at that time, you just simply die. So that's the importance of health insurance. If you now had health insurance, what is going to happen is that when you get to that place, you say, oh, you have health insurance from so company, and then they check, and then they'll be like, okay, this place is covered, and then they give you the healthcare that you need. Apart from that, it's risk reduction. So typically when you're going to, let's say, treat malaria, now it's more expensive. I don't even know how much it is these days. They call an exorbitant amount of money, to treat malaria. But here, in order for you to treat malaria, if you suspect you have malaria, you go to the nearest pharmacy that is closest to you, get yourself checked, using the malaria kit. And if you have malaria, they'll dispense a malaria medicine for you. And all of this comes at a cost of less than 800 naira a month. So maybe they'll ask you to pay quarterly, so it comes up to maybe about something like under 2,000 in 3 months, right? But you get coverage so that, God forbid, you have malaria, or you have typhoid, or you get into an accident, you just don't die like that. That's why health insurance is important. Of course, if you now want maybe insurance that covers more bigger things like surgeries and all of that, is also there. And again, it reduces risk and all of that. So please try to get health insurance. If you need to do that, you can send a message on the on our group. I'll send you, refer you to our customer care people that is going to take care of that insurance for you. I mean, Wella Health Insurance, there are insurance companies that one reason why people say they don't like insurance is because it's big money. Of course, they don't think of all the risk that is involved. So what Wella Health has done is kind of, let me put it in this way, sachetizing insurance, right? So we've taken the diseases that people suffer from the most and made it very cheap, made coverage for those conditions very cheap, so that people can afford it. It will be a lower cost barrier. So if you're interested, just drop a message on the app or privately, and then I can direct you to Coco, the customer care person that is going to take care of it. It's very affordable. Please do. So to the question now, it's not that the person goes to the pharmacy to buy drugs, is that their insurance covers them for those drugs. But in order for them to access it, they will have to prove their identity to the pharmacy and prove that they have insurance coverage for those drugs. So what happens is that their insurance company that is covering them sends them a message to be able to access access those drugs from the pharmacy that is closest to them. So when they go to the pharmacy that is closest to them, they are no longer paying cash. They are not paying money to them. Just go there and show their face, show their ID, and they give them their drug. So that's it's not that they are buying drugs, it's that they are going to claim drugs. Have I answered your question?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Any other question or comments? So question or comments, like generally, what do you think about this whole process? Is it clear how we went from point A to point B? Is it clear how we arrived at the decision, that we didn't just think of it from our head? Just is it clear? Is the process clear?
Yes, it is very clear. But my issue is, I feel it will take a lot of time. Like, it takes more time than.
Of course, it takes a lot of time. Of course, like innovation takes. It's not like it takes time. It takes. It is a structured process.
Yeah, I understand the structured process, but let's say we are trying to fix our assignments on a weekly basis now. So we are not so calm with it. It's like we are doing it under pressure, trying to like, hey, this week I must make sure I complete this, make sure I complete this. So that's what I feel like is the difference.
Yeah. You know what? To be honest with you, not like I expect that you guys are going to come up with like 100%. I just want to know from your assignment that you understand the process. Do you understand? Now, in the second half of this course, when you are now going to be paired up with project managers and or product managers and developers, right? You are going to have more time. You are going to have, give or take, 3 months. So your actual UI UX design course is all remaining like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, thereabout, right? The next half of this course, let me just give you a projection of what is going to happen. We are inviting a CEO from a fintech company. We've actually made collaborations with them. Good morning. We've made collaborations with oh God. Careful. So we've made collaborations with a fintech company. So we are inviting a CEO of a fintech company, and of course, Wella Health CEO. And then we are arranging a third one. What we want to do is that we want to have them to give you a real life challenge of a real life problem that their business is facing at the moment, right? doesn't necessarily mean that we are going to interview them to understand kind of how design helps them in their process in the company generally, so that you kind of understand your place in a tech company or in any company generally. Designers are not only important in tech companies. Right? Then maybe maybe they will have a problem that their business is facing at the moment that they will need a design solution for, or a problem that their business is facing. In fact, every Nigerian business is facing problems, right? Problems is full in any Nigerian business, right? Now, those problems are designers' business, right? So what happens is that it will give you an idea of the challenges that are in the landscape in fintech, health tech. I'm trying to kind of solidify, another industry that can if you can pull in their either a CEO or a C-suite executive. So that when you now kind of have a general idea of what the landscape look like, then you and your team, that's your project manager. So as we are having this course, they are also having their own course, and the developers are also having their own course. So all of you are going to come together and then decide on what solution or what problem to solve first. So now you know the process, and then you have 3 months. So the next 3 months of this course, is going to be about you solving a real life problem, and you have real life time, because 3 months is enough time for you to solve any problem, really. Of course, we will always be here to support. The class is still going to be open. The class is open, so you are going to have facilitators that you can always go and ask questions if you need any technical support, if you need any help, if you need something to have any areas where you don't feel competent. And they will also have their own. The devs will have their own. The product managers will also have their own. But the point is that you guys are going to solve that problem. You're going to have enough time to solve it. The reason I wanted you guys to have your own project now is so that you kind of get what the process looks like. So that's not when you are now combined with other people, you will now be looking like aloof, like you don't know what is going on, right? So pretty much your project is pretty much over. Like, in 2-3 weeks, you guys would have had the skills that you need to, design solutions for a problem. You would have had the, design skills on Figma to actually design, mobile apps and, screens and basically the UI part of it, yeah? So that when you are now mixed up with that, your next team of product manager, designer, and developer, of course, you know that a lot of you are complaining now that your team members are not serious. By that time, you would have removed the unserious people. Them also have their own unserious people, right? And you are now going to be a team of project manager, designer, and developer that are serious, that have gone through the first 3 months, right? So your problem is no longer going to be about seriousness, yeah? And you are going to try to come up with solutions of problems that you decide you want to come up with. You are going to be the product designers in the team. There will also be developers in the team, and of course, developers are important to tell you generally if your idea is feasible, right? If your idea is something that you can actually engineer, right? Because you can have an idea that cannot be engineered, right? It's not feasible, So so not necessarily that you're going to develop an app, that is usable in the real world, but the developer, at least minimum, is going to be able to tell you that this idea is feasible. Then optimally, they will be able to, you guys will be able to at least design a website for your product that people can now come and see what your product does and all of that. Of course, you as a designer will have a prototype of the product on Figma. We are going to go through how to design prototypes and all of that. So you know how to design screens right now. Please, if you have this is no longer a webinar. This is now a meeting, right? We've been having meetings for the past couple of weeks. So if you have any question, raise up your hand and talk. You know, Chills, please talk. Raise up your hand and talk. Unmute yourself and talk if you need to say something. So Chills is asking, is it everyone taking the product design course that will be paired with developers, product managers, and the rest? Yes. So everybody who kind of goes through these first 3 months, right? Because we don't want a situation where we are sending unserious people to go and meet serious people, right? So everyone who has gone through these first 3 months is going to be cleared into going through the next 3 months. So that's where this thing is important and all of that, right? Yeah, basically. So everyone will be paired. Of course, there could be teams that have more than one designer, but then you're also going to have project managers, developers and all of that, right? So you're not doing anything alone. Of course, you're designing. The designing is going to be mostly you, but thinking through the problem is not only you, because you have product managers. Product managers are also, they are also trained to think about problems, especially the market potential of those problems and all of that, and work with developers and designers. And so you have help. Yes. So any other questions? Right. So let's take a little break so that we can now go to the next side, the next half of our class today. So I wanted to introduce you to motion design today, but I'm going to push that up to the next class because we need to go through some of the. You know what? I might still actually fix in some motion design today, but depending on what we are able to cover, right? So I might still actually be able to do some motion design, but I wanted to introduce you to some of the things that Figma, the ones that at least that we've gone through, because some things change in auto layout and some other things came up, that I feel is going to make your work easier. So for me, generally, I it's not about stuff ahead. If there is any way to make work easy, I believe designers should not spend 100% of their time on Figma. So Figma is a tool, it's not slavery, right? Most of the time a designer has is
Yeah.
so most of the time most of what a designer should be doing is thinking through problems. So so if there is a way to make the Figma part of it easier, I am always for it, right? So we are going to go through the things that Figma has actually come up with, that makes life easy. So let's take like a 10-minute break. We come back in by 10:40. 5-minute break. Let's come back at 10:40, and then I will take the next 30 minutes maybe to show you the things, the new things on Figma. So if you have any questions, you can still ask. Sorry, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So if you notice, when you now want to add a new file, it shows you this. So it can either be a design file, a FigJam file, or a new one has come up, is in beta. Beta mode means beta. I think we talked about in design, we talked about beta testing. So they are still beta testing this design, right? So this is a new a new feature that they have that they have. Let's just say they have it, because even though it's in beta mode, we know like it's actually there. But it's just that it's going to keep improving over time, right? This is like the first edition, so that they have a new slide deck, a new slide deck feature that you can go and then make presentations, like better presentations. Like we doing presentations with Figma anyway, but this is like the one that is now going to be like targeted at making presentations better. Well, let's start here anyway. So there are some other things that came up. Especially, I think I'm going to start with the auto layout one, because that's kind of the one that concerns you primarily now. My computer is just wasting time. All right, so this card does not have auto layout, right? You can see auto layout is not there. So that means that you can move around things inside it, and even this one now can also move around things inside. Like nothing has auto layouts in it. Nothing has auto layouts. Nothing has auto layout. Okay, this one, has auto layout because it's just a picture or whatnot. This one doesn't have auto layout, so that means this one you can move things around inside here. Right. So Figma came out with this feature that that they call okay, first let me try to put this on auto layout. Yeah. I don't even know. Command Shift A. Okay. Sorry, let's try. Because they are kind of already all aligned, so it kind of makes sense. Let me scatter it quite a bit. So let me put this here, then put this one. Yeah, put this one here. Sorry, let me make this easily accessible. Put this one here, and this one, put it here. But I even wanted to do it in such a way that I'm just trying to push it. I'm just trying to push it to a limit to see, if it's going to hold up. And then this one, bring it out. Right. Bring out this one. This one. And bring out this one. Now let me, if I select all of this and use that our normal shift A to say auto layout, or just maybe use this to show auto layout. Let's see what's going to happen. So this happens, right? And all right, so it's already telling us. Well, I kind of want you guys to notice what is going on here, right? Notice what is going on here. So you see, it's kind of educating us on the new thing. The reason why it's important is that sometimes in your own designs, right, when you're designing apps in the future, and you bring out a new feature, you may have to educate users on how to use that feature. So now it's telling us next time try Control Shift A. This is auto layout done quick. Figma will figure out the frames you need, right? Got it. Now, this one, the frame that happened here is a wrap. It may look like it's normal, but it's actually a wrap, right? And wraps are not necessarily how we want this auto layout to go, because it's just not a wrap. Like, okay, so if you make it like this now, you know, everything will now go straight. Do you understand? This is what wraps kind of look like. It's not, we don't want it to wrap. We don't want it to wrap. So let me undo that. Now, the new one that they've come up with, I'm just going to right click and show you add auto layout. This is the simple one that we just did. Now they now have more auto layout options. Suggest auto layout and then remove all auto layouts, right? So let's say suggest auto layout and then see what happens. Suggest auto layout. So you see what happened, right? It has suggested an auto layout. Now, if you look, it's not a wrap, right? It's still up to down. But this one, these two that were side by side together, they put it still side by side. So kind of it organized it the way it feels is best, right? So as I said, it may not always be perfect, but it's always close to, it makes our work easy. So now, for instance, I can say, okay, this one is 53. I may decide to make it less. I may decide to, but generally, it kind of uses AI to figure out the closest to what it feels that the auto layout should be. And of course, it works best if the things that you are putting in an auto layout are already in a position that makes most sense. Then you can now, select everything and then put auto layout, and then it's going to figure out, how to best auto layout each and all of those small features. So as I said before, it's good to know it makes your work easy if you know what you're doing, but you need to still know how to use auto layout so that if anything, you can now start fixing up and make size it kind of works its best. Another feature I really like and I feel is going to be very important to you is this. So they added another feature to assets. If you go to assets, you see something is happening here to create confidence, blah blah. So here is what I wanted to show you: UI kits, pre-made UI kits, right? So this one is from Material Design. Material Design is a UI kit from Google. Then this one is Simple Design System from Figma. So Figma has released their own design system. So this is a Simple Design System from Figma. And then this one is iOS, like an iOS design system. So what that means is that when you're designing things that are going to go in iOS, you use this because Apple typically wants their apps looking in a certain way. And when you are designing an app for Apple, for iOS, if it looks a certain way, people are going to feel that this app belongs here, as opposed to opening an app that should be for iOS and it's looking like a Google app. Do you understand? So that's why iOS UI kits are important. Now, these UI kits used to kind of go out of your way to look for it, but now it's right there, on your Figma. And then when you add it to this, let's say we've added this Apple UI kit right here into this this thing now. So we decided we're going to be using Apple UI kit. Of course, we can add more. We can still go and we've added this. We can still add material design. In fact, I'll add all of them, and so we can compare. We can compare. The UI kits for all of. So simple design system is from Figma. Material design is from Google. And this iOS is from Apple. So if you open the UI kit, you see like action sheets. If you drag it and drop it, okay, of course you have to agree to abide by terms of Apple's, automatically that's a card. So now you don't need to, design things like this from the start. Like it's an action sheet. You don't need to design an action sheet from the scratch. You can just drag and drop the one that Apple has designed directly from outside to show title or not show title is a component, yeah. So show button 2, not show button 2, show button 3, not show button 3, show button 4, not show button 4. You understand? And then even you can now go in to each of these buttons and now decide the description, right? Maybe you basically like you can change select option, and now it becomes select option, right? Then you can decide also to change the title, register drugs or whatever. I'm just sure, like, of course, they have different applications that you can use it for. And then this action, you can also change it. Like each of them has, their different distance. Of course, if you, for instance, remove button 2 now, for instance, button 2 no longer appears there. It goes from 1 to 3. So that's basically, so this one you can also change it to be destructive. You can all disabled, you can, default, and then the action here, of course, you can change the words, anything basically you want. It's basically very editable. So it kind of means that you are no longer designing pretty much anything from the scratch. You can, instead of designing everything from the scratch, you just take UI kits. If you are designing for iOS, you take UI kits from iOS and and use it from ground up. So now you can see that it's no longer a matter of whether or not you know how to lay out, or whether or not you know how to choose your fonts or whatever. It's not a matter of if you know where things are located, how to find it. So these are another action sheets. This one is a different type. You can see. I'm sure if you have used an Apple device, these things look familiar, right? So the point is, you don't have to design these things from the scratch anymore. It becomes a game of knowing what you're looking for, and editing it, right? Just look at, so these things now, you're no longer designing any of these from the scratch, right? So for instance, if part of your design means you having to share something or share a file with somebody, you're no longer designing that from the scratch. You're using just the Apple UI kit to design that part of the flow. Do you understand? Now you're no longer designing, looking for these things. They are already all inside there. I don't know if you guys understand. how important this is, but it really is a game changer. It really is a game changer. It is a game changer. Then it goes from things like that to things like buttons. Okay, these are alerts. Okay, alerts. You know, app icons, airdrop, app icon. I want to know, is this okay? Is a JPEG? Bezels. So now when you are doing your mock-up, you can literally, take bezels from here. You are no longer designing it from the scratch or looking for where to find it. It's literally like Apple's own design. You don't need to, like, when you're designing your mock-ups, you no longer need to overthink, any of these things. I think we'll still do mock-up anyway. Just that now you know where to find it. Then buttons, right? Buttons, yeah. So I think okay. So the buttons are, as usual, you would have like change the size from small to medium, small, medium, large, filled, bezeled, bezeled gray, borderless. Then there is states of enabled and disabled. Then if it's on a material or not. Then label type, symbol and text, symbol only, text only. Then the label is play. You can change it to drive, whatever. This one now. Of course, you may be wondering what this is, right? So if you are designing an Apple, yeah, if you are designing an Apple, if you are designing for Apple, there is this font called is it SGF Pro? Let me look for it. Sorry. Let me look for it in a second. It's been a very long time I designed anything for Apple, so that's the font. SF symbols, yeah. So there is a font in Apple called SF symbols, yeah. Not a font, actually, an application now, called SF symbols, yeah. So that application goes together with a font called SF Pro. So if you want a particular icon, let me share my entire screen. Let me share my entire screen so that you'll understand you can see what I'm doing. Application, document. It's not going to allow me to share my entire screen. Portion of screen, documents. Oh, more. Okay, why is it not allowing me to share out my screen? Finder. Okay, let me just share this so that you can understand what I'm looking at. So this is an app called like SF symbol. So when I want to, maybe I'm looking for an icon for Apple, this is where I get the font or get the icons, right? Now these are all icons that are for Apple products, right? For Apple design. for iOS design. So when you get the icon you want, what you need to do is to copy it. Okay, copy symbol. You can see, so I've copied the symbol, and then let me go back to my Figma. I've copied the symbol, and then I come back to Figma, and then I go to text. This is faster when you are just, when you just zeroed in and you're working with Apple, this thing. And then in the font, I'll search for SF symbol or SF Pro, sorry. Okay, it's already an SF Pro. Then I'm just going to paste it, Control V. So Apple, when you're designing for Apple, fonts, icons are actually fonts. Do you understand? They are like fonts that that you kind of delete and add, like you literally writing them like text, like you write WW and then you write a font. That's how Apple has designed their own system. So you can change the size by changing the size here, right? So what that means is that if the size of your this thing, if the size of your this thing is 15, the size of your font is 15 as well, it kind of makes a very good, match, right? 15 and 15, you can see they're looking perfectly nice. Do you understand? That's how Apple designed their own system. So it's different from the way Google designed their own. So yeah. So for instance, now if the icon I want here is that different icon that I just copied, I can just paste it here. Do you understand? And that becomes my icon. Right? That's the way Apple's design system is. Alerts. Okay, we've talked about alerts, bezels, buttons, color wheels and pickers. Contextual menus. Okay, these are also kind of menus, I think this is Face ID-ish thing. Yeah. Okay, so now you no longer have to kind of design this from the scratch. When you're designing a Face ID, then this one is also this Touch ID. What else? Keyboards. Yeah, I'm wondering if this is response. Okay, let me see. Keyboard, iPad, that what this is. Keyboard for phone. This is for the phone, and that's for the iPad. Of course, if you're designing an experience on the phone or on the iPad. So I want to. Okay. And then list, menus, multitasking, expression, like everything is here, right? Plenty. Wallpapers, toolbars, toggles, switches, So this, in fact, one of our motion design class was going to be to design something like this, right? But you can see the state is off on, is the motion is already designing itself. Kind of makes your life easy. Text fields, boom. What is it? What do you want? Like, text field, and then you can now, choose the state you want it in. Do you want it focused? Typing, value entered. Then the value, you decide what value it is. Title, you decide. Just makes things ridiculously easy. Because it's right here and it's accessible. Toolbars, what is there? Of course, those icons can be changed. those icons can be changed, and they are doing it for iPad and iPhone, wallpaper, widgets. So yeah, that's for iOS, iOS and iPadOS. Then there is also material design. Material design is for Google. Is for Google. So let's see what they have. Right, detailed view for mobile. Right now, sorry, let's remove the iOS. Right, you can see, literally, this is like literally designing an app from from ground up. Now you don't have to go all the way. Designing the app, like you now just go in and edit things that you need to edit, change things that you need to change. Let me see how this one works. Right, so now just going in and changing things, and you are no longer designing anything from the scratch. So this one is for the web. What detail is for web? Just look at that. Right, and I'm sure this is gallery, mobile. Okay, gallery. Like when you're trying to design gallery for maybe purchase, whatever, home mobile, home web. So it's a matter of going through this and finding, what works. Messaging, maybe in-app messaging or something. This one is app bars, bottom app bar, where you have all those icons and all of that, and then the top bar, where you have like profile, this thing, and all of these things are already sized and they are responsive. The crazy thing is they are responsive, right? So it's not you trying to figure out, what kind of auto layout to put. Everything is already done and it's already done to be responsive. So you can do it for any phone size you want. This one also, see, they are all responsive. They are all responsive. This one as well is responsive. They are responsive. Then that's it. For avatars, generic avatar, whatever. Oh, by the way, let me show you something. So this is a generic avatar. Okay, which one am I? Okay, let me look at this now. So apart from the material design, so now you, okay, by the way, let me take out, because this might be confusing for some people. What this is actually this these grid lines. So I've just hidden them so you can see what I'm looking at. So this one, if you click in here, so this thing now. Wait, the layouts. I'm trying to see if it will allow me, if it will give me access to notification, right? So if you click down here, you will now see a swatch of all icons, like all the icons, right? See, plenty icons. You can go back here and app bars, avatars, badges, buttons. Okay, so let's go back to icons, chips, dialogues, dividers. These are another way, by the way, to kind of access all of these things that we talked about. So for instance, I can go to search and search bar, and then, okay, let me bring this out so I can more easily manage this thing. Right, so outbox, and then here, by the way, so you can get for avatars, for instance, badges, you can even change this to, you can change it for either here or here, but this is a little more, if basically you have maybe like different things here and they're working, like this is how to work with design systems, basically. Making it accessible to you. So you can, for instance, I want to add a slider, right? I want to add a continuous slider. Boom, it becomes a slider. Okay, so let's change it to something. Let's change it to carousel. All right. Okay, I think the size is limiting it, right? So is limiting it because of the size. Imagine like carousel that's small. See. So carousel. That's why it's actually easier to access it from, from the main listing. So yes, here you can carousel. Okay, so this is the carousel, for instance, that we got. So you can get the carousel from here. You can get the carousel from there. Full screen, checkboxes, chips, date pickers, menu navigation, radio button, search bar. This one is of full screen bar. This one is a search view model. Like, you literally don't have to design anything on your own. So it's just a matter of knowing what you want, knowing the features that you want to put somewhere, and then arranging it. Basically, like, you literally don't, they kind of removed the need for too much detailing and all of that and scale. You just know what features you want in your product. You can go through their design system and pick out whatever you want. And then, so this one is for material design. Material design, as I said, is designed by Google. Is a Google toolkit. Now, this one is simple design by Figma. This one is a Figma design. Is a Figma design system. Now, this one is even madder because it has a lot more components than the material design and the iOS design system. So this one is homepage, right? Homepage. The homepage that we spent how many hours designing. Now, like, you just have literally, click the button and it took you to, a homepage, right? So now all you have to do is just to kind of edit all of this, like, what do you want, do you want it to have subtitle or not? Sorry, why is it? This one is glitchy. Let me try something. This one is glitchy. It's not letting me edit. Can you guys still hear me? Let me even know if it's my internet.
Yeah, we can hear you.
This one.
Yeah,
This is in beta mode. That's what happens sometimes when things are in beta mode. It's kind of, let me see if I can detach. If I detach it, if it's going to help the problem. Doesn't help. So this is a bit glitchy, but generally you can see that here a lot of things has been done for you. Yeah, a lot of things have been done for you. Right. So okay, it doesn't change. This one is glitchy. Maybe it's my computer. Maybe if I log in and log out again, it can. So you can see this is like almost like a whole a whole website. It has a home page. It has an about us page, right? It has an article page. Articles page. This is like something people spend like hours designing. Yeah. It has a contact us page. This is a landing page. A portfolio. Pricing. Pricing page. What's a product detail page, a shopping page, then wait list, maybe if you want to, if you want people to add their email to join a wait list, it has even a page for that. So all you need to now do is you just go in and then change, maybe look at the colors. If the colors don't match, show all selection colors. You now change the colors to your own brand colors, and that's basically it. You know. I'm sure you can detach detach the colors and let's make sure you can detach this color, for instance. I think if you detach it, goes all the way down, and then you can maybe change it to red or something. And see that color has changed, has become red. So you can edit it to fit your own design system, with your own colors and all of that. But essentially, the most important things have been fixed for you. All you need to do, this one is a picture. You can go and detach this image, whatnot, and then put your own image. Oh, and put your own image. Download. They've charged us to made things pretty easy. Slates. Let's this one that I want to change. This one. It's my image there. This one looks like it's going to cover the whole thing. This one. So essentially, you see, and again, they are all responsive. Now, that's the one that is, they are all responsive. If you push it and pull it, they behave like normal people, except like this one, the bottom now is not behaving. Okay, it's behaving. Okay, that's how it's designed. It's designed to kind of align on the right. So, fully responsive design. Fully responsive. Fully responsive. This one is even wrapping, yeah? This one is even wrapping. See, the responsiveness is even wrapping the text or wrapping the content. Maximum sizing for that kind of thing to happen, Crazy stuff. So you can even add a button, remove a button, add a button. So yeah, the thing is just know what you want. Like the idea, you see, like when I'm when I'm taking product design classes, yeah, I like not to focus a lot on the tools like Figma. Notice that this our course has been more of process, because that is the thing that cannot be replaced. Like AI is not going to replace process. You see how Figma has just woken up one day and made some people jobless by making all these things like accessible with 2 buttons. But the process is not going to change, So you still need to figure out if you want a home button to be there, or if you want, about page, all these things. Like you now decide what you want to put there. So the whole process of having having a super duper skill in Figma is no longer so much necessary. It's still necessary, but no longer so necessary. So this accordion now, I'm sure that it will have some crazy features. Like if you click in, you find some. So this one is closed now. You can make it open. Boom. Open accordion, and then like this that happens when, for instance, this one is open now. You can make it close. Maybe if you want to do like some of those designs that call for it. Interesting. Buttons. Yeah, buttons. The buttons. I'm always interested in buttons. This one is button groups. Primary button, secondary button, and then I'm sure these buttons will also have has icon, start icon, has end icon. The same thing will happen here. Start icon, end icon, and then if you go into the icon that you can click in and you see all the icons that Figma is offering you. All of them just coming like that, just like that. So no need to now go and be looking for icon from that website that we're looking for icon. Just come here and then everything is there. Icon, button, cards, right? So that's no longer need to, and everything is designed perfect. Auto layout perfect, responsive. Pricing card also there. Oh, this one is like subscription card or something like that. This, in fact, I designed something like this just yesterday. I designed something like this just yesterday. Product information card, status card. Right. So basically everything at your fingertips. Dialogue. So I think Figma has a lot more in their design system than the two combined. Dialogue body. So it's now a question of what do you want to be included in your app. You don't even need to know how to design it yourself. You just go, and even forms, you just go there and you make it happen. I designed something like, just yesterday, I designed something like this. So 15 minutes of my time, or sorry, maybe like 5 to 10 minutes of my time could have been 2 seconds of me just going in and just pulling out something, right? And all of these things are responsive. Like this one now, button starts, and if you click into one of the buttons now, I'm sure it's going to ask you if you want it to have icon or not have icon. Like everything is just already designed in there. Now a matter of you just going to, pick what you want to add. So you can just change the icons inside, So that is how to use a design system, by the way. Sometimes you can come into a company that already has a design system, and all of this. So instead of you building from the scratch, building your own buttons, because they don't want you to build your own buttons, because your own buttons could mean that you could be a different border radius and it's no longer going to be in line with their own, branding. So you don't design anything from the scratch. You just go and just pull out things. So designing a lot of times is not about how well you know how to design a button, but it's important we learn it so you understand the basics of it. It's also very important, that you learn how this thing starts with. So which is why not a waste of your time at all. So this one, you can imagine places that you want, the things like this to be in. Again, it's responsive. So even if it's not the size you want, you can drag it in and then change the sizing and all of that. Right. So that is Figma has a lot more. In fact, Figma has a lot more. These are tabs. There was these buttons that I think is material design that has it, FABs, and because I'm always interested in those things. I think it's these guys that have it. Floating, like buttons. Where are the buttons? Where are your buttons? Avatars. Buttons. So Figma has this thing that they call. Okay, I cannot. So Figma has It's something called like buttons. They have buttons and they have FABs. FABs are like floating action buttons. And you can see the difference is that this one has a shadow, so it gives it an illusion that is floating, and this one doesn't have a shadow. And Figma actually, Google actually did a very intensive job, style, surface, primary, secondary, tertiary button, primary. States, hovering, focused, pressed. Interesting. Yeah. And all of these things, like the code for it is already there, so your designers are not going to have any problem, with coding. The icon is can even change the icon right there. And all the colors are already selected, like they are already. You don't need to like stress yourself too much, You don't need to stress yourself a lot. So these are buttons, these are FABs, these are a button only FAB. An icon.
Oh, I catch like this.
That's a video game,
So segmented button, for instance, 2 segments, you can increase it to scope upon 5 segments. Right. Anyway, so that's actually what I wanted to share with you. Does anyone have comments? What do you think about it? Is it something you're open to using?
Yeah, I think I can see a lot of these kind of, and it will be so much interesting to use. I'm eager to explore, actually.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of stress and trouble out of one's way.
Exactly. It takes a lot of stress and trouble, and then it makes your job look professional. It makes your job look professional, even if
and consistency is like
consistency, right? Consistency. Even if your design level is not there yet, it makes your job professional.
Yeah.
So I think
and then okay.
I will consider using it. Although we have a design system already at Wella Health, but it's something I will really consider using, especially when we are doing like cross industry designs, like external designs. Really, 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 I really recommend. So if you're designing US now,
and then I think it's also like if designing for a particular operating system, I don't have to bother myself with how is it like on Android? How is it like on?
Exactly. And there is even something I think I forgot to add. Let me card. Something I forgot to mention. This is iOS, yes. Okay, no, this one will also have it, but let me check for iOS cards. Keyboards. Keyboard, but let me look for cards as well. Let's see. Visual buttons, contextual menus, SID keywords, it's not menus. Actually looking for something in particular. Sheets, sidebar, status bar, status system. Okay. I think it kind of getting around its the bigger parts. Let's see. That's exactly what I'm for. Let's say this, for instance, now you have you can literally change it from dark mode to light mode. So now it's dark mode. Can you imagine? So just,
Like, wow.
you can just
Like
go,
instead of the variable features on the
yeah,
paid version that people don't really have access to.
already there. It's already
Kind
there.
of.
So
Wow.
it's lights, it's already inbuilt. You can, how much work it takes for you to convert lights light to dark,
Oh God.
desktop,
This is easy.
all of that. Like, it just takes all of that out.
This is
Just like that, the click of a button, you converted something from light to dark. The amount of work this just reduced. And
setting up on variables to create a lot of modes.
It's still the same here. I think. Sorry, this one also has its own. I think it also has that variable thing. Yeah, that's it. Layer. That's it. Voila.
Wow.
Dark elevated. Okay. It's just madness. It's just madness. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It's crazy, but I mean, I'm really happy with it. I'm really, really happy with it. Like everything, and it's all inbuilt. So like, you literally don't have any work to do anymore. See, just take this one. Of course, I can't just put in this thing like this now. But I have to detach this one, detach the instance before you can make random changes like this. Yes. Anyway, so that's it. And of course, this is fully responsive. So if I take this one now and drag it all the way to the end, you can see it's responsive, right? Responsive. And that responsiveness is the maddest part of it. Okay. Anyway, so that's basically what I wanted to show you. That Figma has been made very easy for those who know what to do with it. Right. So that's the end of the class today. Right. Okay. So I expect, because we kind of have 2 weeks. I think today is either our 10th or 11th week, and we have like 1 or 2 or 3 weeks to now join the larger class. So I want you guys to really hurry up and finish up the project that you have now, so that we get all that experience and all of that, working with the whatever, so that after our first month, we already I have like set up one of our classes before we join. Well, in fact, not before, like it will be in combination now with the other class. It will be like a general class with all the other groups. We are going to talk to at least 2 CEOs have already been arranged, and we are looking for a third person that is going to also speak, and then we ask them questions. You can also ask them questions. Of course, best if you submit those questions a day early, so that we kind of sort through those questions. People are not asking the same questions, so that you can ask all the questions you have, about the kind of problems they went through when they are, coming up with, their idea, the design problems they are facing today, what the industrial landscape is looking like for them. Basically, any questions you feel is going to enrich, your journey, will be allowed to ask, and maybe it's going to give us insights about the kind of problems we are going to be looking to solve. Yeah, so that is it for today's class. So please get up to speed with your designs, right? I expect at least you guys to already have finished your wireframing. In fact, now even working on your prototyping, because as you can see, the prototyping is not easy, so you don't need to do anything from the scratch. But that wireframing part is the part that will now show you, because if you have the wireframing right, the prototyping and everything around that side becomes very easy, right? So sadly, I can no longer hold you by the hand in terms of telling you what you should do or sending you templates. They are no longer templates because it's now kind of focused on, I cannot give you templates on wireframing, right? So yeah, just figure it out and get up to speed. If you have any questions, you know, the group is always available. You can throw the questions in there. So that is it for today. Thank you very much and have a nice weekend.
Thank you too, sir.
Thank you so much for the time and effort.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Have a nice weekend.